A Killer 10. A Raven Darkblade Mystery. Chapter 2. High Tide, Low Expectations. The beach patrol station looked like what would happen if a lifeguard stand had ambitions but not budget. Bright orange paint peeling off walls that contained exactly 3 rooms. Reception, interrogation, and a bathroom that doubled as evidence storage, which seemed unsanitary but efficient. Detective Raven Darkblade sat across from Officer Sandy Shores, who was taking his statement with the enthusiasm of someone filling out tax forms underwater. His height had stabilized at 5 feet 10 inches, his standard being questioned by authorities: height. "So you were on a date," Officer Shores said, pronouncing date like it was a foreign concept that might be contagious. "Yes, first date with Summer, the marine biologist who studies tides professionally." Raven wasn't sure why he was giving her resume, but it seemed important to establish that his date was legitimate and not imaginary, like the last 3. Through the thin walls, he could hear Summer giving her statement in the next room. Her voice was steady, answering questions about times and locations with the precision of someone who dealt with data for a living. "And you saw the body when?" "Right after someone screamed, about 8:17. Raven knew the exact time because he'd been checking his phone to see if his ex had liked his Instagram post from 3 weeks ago. She hadn't. "Did you recognize the victim?" "Number. But Jenny said his name was Richard Washman, real estate developer, rich enough to own a yacht, poor enough to die in the ocean." "Wait, that doesn't make sense." "Nothing about this makes sense," Officer Shores agreed. Officer Shores looked up from her notepad. "Who said he was swimming?" "Well, the flippers could have been put on him after death. Make it look like an accident, or a very specific fetish gone wrong." Raven's height dropped to 5 feet 8 inches with discomfort. "Is that a common problem here? You'd be surprised what washes up on Crimson City beaches. Last month we had a guy dressed as a mermaid. Turned out he was alive, just really committed to the costume." The door burst open and Jenny Shoutsloud lived up to her name. "Darkblade, we need you at the yacht. I've assembled a team." "A team of what?" Raven asked, hoping it wasn't more people expecting him to be competent. "Investigators. Also Carl from the marina, who has keys to all the boats, because rich people are trusting idiots." "I'm not done with my statement," Raven protested weakly. "You were on a date. You saw a body. Your romantic evening was ruined. There, I've summarized. Now come on. Crime waits for no man. Except when it does, which is often. But not now." In the next room, Summer was just finishing her statement. She looked tired but managed a smile when she saw Raven. "Going to investigate?" "Apparently. I'm sorry about all this." He gestured vaguely at the murder-related inconvenience. "Not your fault. Someone decided to die during our appetizers." She paused. "That sounded more callous than I meant." "I understand. Death is inconvenient. Very rude of corpses, really." She laughed, which made the evening marginally better. "Text me later? If you solve the case, I want to hear about it. Maybe over coffee somewhere landlocked." "Deal," Raven said, his height reaching an optimistic 6 feet 0 inches. "Richard Washman's yacht. real estate of mind, was exactly as tasteless as the name suggested. Chrome everything, including what appeared to be a chrome anchor, which defeated the purpose of weight but looked expensive doing it. "Don't touch anything," Jenny commanded as they boarded. "This is a crime scene." "How do we know?" Raven asked. "Could be where he lives." Lived, past tense. "Because there's blood on the deck," Carl from the marina pointed out helpfully. "Also those signs of struggle. Also that ransom note taped to the wheel." Ransom note? Raven's detective instincts finally detected something worth detecting. The note was written in what appeared to be crayon, which seemed like an artistic choice. "Give me what you owe, or you'll be swimming with the fishes." Literally. With flippers. "Very specific threat," Raven observed. "They followed through perfectly. The flippers match and everything." "Who writes ransom notes in crayon?" Jenny wondered aloud. "A child?" Raven suggested seriously. "We should check local preschools, see if any toddlers have been making threats about fishes." "It's probably an adult trying to seem less threatening," Jenny explained. "Oh, that makes more sense." Raven examined the crayon more closely. "It's purple, very suspicious color. Not blue like the ocean. Probably significant." "Or they just grabbed whatever crayon was available," Jenny sighed. They searched the yacht with the thoroughness of people who didn't really know what they were looking for. The main cabin was a shrine to wealth without taste. Gold-plated everything, including a gold-plated life preserver, which seemed to miss the point of flotation devices. "Look at this," Carl said, holding up a ledger he'd found in a drawer marked "Secret Stuff Do Not Open," which seemed like reverse psychology. Washman owed money to everyone. Contractors, suppliers, 3 ex-wives, and someone called the tide turner. "The tide turner?" Raven read the entry. "Owes $500,000 for consulting services." That's a lot of consulting. "Or a little bit of very expensive consulting," Jenny suggested. Raven's phone buzzed. A text from Summer. "Hope the investigation is going well. Fun fact. High tide tonight was exactly 8:15. Richard would have gone in the water around 7:30 to wash up by then. Marine biology is weirdly useful for murder timelines." "That's helpful," Raven said, showing Jenny the text. "She knows about water times." "You mean tides?" Jenny asked. "That's what I said. Water times." Raven reread the text. "How does she know when he went in the water?" "Basic current calculations," Jenny explained. "If you know when he washed up and the tide schedule, you can work backwards." "Like time travel but wet," Raven said, nodding as if he understood. "Sure, let's go with that," Jenny agreed, giving up. "Speaking of water," Carl interrupted, "there's something weird about the deck. See these marks? Like something heavy was dragged to the edge, but they stop about 3 feet from the rail." Raven examined the marks, squinting hard. "Looks like someone was practicing their moonwalk. These could be dance steps." "They're drag marks," Jenny said patiently. "From dragging a body." "Oh, yes, that too." Raven studied them again. "But why do they stop?" "So he was dragged most of the way then. Walk the rest?" Carl suggested. Or was carried, Jenny suggested, by someone strong enough to lift a grown man in a tuxedo. Maybe he was on wheels, Raven offered. Like a murder skateboard? A murder skateboard, Jenny repeated flatly. Too small for a body, Raven admitted. Murder shopping cart. Let's just stick with carried, Jenny decided. They found more evidence of Washman's financial troubles. Past due notices, angry emails printed out for some reason, and a business card for Sal's totally legal loans, with a handwritten note, "Last chance, Dickie boy." So he owed money to everyone, Raven summarized. Any of them could have killed him. Except most people don't follow through on crayon threats, Jenny pointed out. Too whimsical for murder. Raven's phone buzzed again. Summer. Sorry for random texts. Nervous habit when I'm anxious. Did you know it takes approximately 12 minutes for a body to float from the yacht area to where we found him? The current is 2.3 knots tonight. Sorry, I'll stop being weird now. She's calculating body drift patterns, Raven said, impressed despite himself. For fun. Marry her, Jenny said flatly. Anyone who does recreational murder math is perfect for you. They searched the rest of the yacht, finding nothing more incriminating than Washman's music collection, which was all yacht rock, because of course it was. The man had died as he lived, with questionable taste and surrounded by water-based puns. We should check his office, Carl suggested. He has a real estate company downtown. Washman's waterfront wonders. He specialized in beach properties. How convenient, Raven muttered. A man who sells beach houses dies at the beach. It's almost like the killer had a theme. Or just took advantage of location, Jenny said. Why drag someone inland when the ocean's right there? As they prepared to leave the yacht, Raven noticed something in the yacht's guest log. The last entry, dated yesterday. S-Tides, discussing property investment. His height shot to 6 feet 3 inches with surprise. Someone named S-Tides was here. That's almost like summer tides. Jenny looked at the entry. That is summer tides. Your date. Oh, Raven's height dropped to 5 feet 8 inches. Different S-Tides probably. Common name, like John Smith but wetter. Tides isn't a common name, Jenny pointed out. Maybe it's a typo. S. Tires? S. Tiles? Raven suggested hopefully. Just text her and ask, Jenny said, exhausted by his reasoning. Good idea. I'll ask if she knows any other S-Tides. Tide says? What's the plural of tides? Just text her, Raven. But Raven was already texting Summer. Were you on Washman's yacht yesterday? The response came quickly. Yes. I told you I was looking at waterfront property for the university. They want to expand the marine research station. He was supposed to show us some lots. Why? No reason, Raven texted back. Relief flooding through him. Just saw your name in his log. Oh God, that looks suspicious, doesn't it? Marine biologist on murder yacht. The day before owner becomes fish food. I swear I only talked to him about zoning permits. Most boring conversation ever. The man was obsessed with easements. Raven smiled. She was funny even when potentially implicated in murder. Your girlfriend's in the guest log, Jenny noted. That's either very convenient or very inconvenient. She's not my girlfriend. Yet. Maybe. If she doesn't get arrested for murder. The foundation of all great relationships, Jenny agreed. Mutual alibi verification. As they left the yacht, Raven couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Not about Summer. She had perfectly reasonable explanations for everything, but something about the scene felt wet, wetter than usual. "Jenny," he said as they walked back down the dock, "doesn't this feel too wet? It's a yacht, at a marina. Everything's wet. No, I mean like suspicious wet." "What does that even mean?" Jenny asked. "I don't know," Raven admitted. "The murder weapon was water. The victim was wet. The yacht is wet. It's all very aquatic." "Yes, Raven. Ocean murders tend to involve water." "See? Suspicious." Jenny muttered something about early retirement as they continued walking. Raven's phone buzzed one more time. "Summer, I know this is probably too forward for a first date, but would you like to grab that coffee tomorrow? I promise to pick a place with no ocean access. Also, I may have information about Washman that could help. He mentioned something yesterday about swimming with the fishes being ironic. Thought it was a mob joke at the time." "She has information," Raven told Jenny. "Wants to meet tomorrow." "Of course she does," Jenny said. "Everyone always has information after the murder. Never before, when it would be helpful. That would be too convenient." As they drove away from the marina, Raven watched the ocean through the window. Somewhere out there, evidence was probably floating away with the tide, or sinking, or being eaten by environmentally conscious fish. His phone showed Summer's contact info, her profile picture showing her in a lab coat holding what appeared to be a very judgmental octopus. She looked happy, normal, not like someone who murdered real estate developers for fun. But then again, Raven thought, he probably didn't look like a competent detective. And yet here he was, accidentally solving cases. In Crimson City, appearances were as deceptive as the tides. And speaking of tides, why did Summer know so much about them? Beside the obvious reason of it being her literal job, his height varied with suspicion and attraction in equal measure. To be continued oceanographically. Author's note: this chapter is dedicated to everyone who's ever provided helpful murder timeline calculations on a first date. Also to marine biologists who can't help but apply their knowledge to every situation, even crime scenes. Any resemblance to actual yacht-based murders is purely coincidental. Please don't write ransom notes in crayon unless you're under 6 or artistically motivated.